and welcome to the next edition of the Holland Land Office Museum's Artifact Video Series. My name is Ryan Duffy, I'm the director of the museum, and today we're going to talk about the siege of the Holland Land Office in Batavia in 1837. Now this moment left an indelible mark and was sort of the beginning of the end of the Holland Land Company's run in Western New York. I'm standing in front of a portrait of David Ellicott Evans, who was the resident agent in Batavia at the time of this event. Now, David was the nephew of Joseph Ellicott and actually took over his position as the resident agent in Batavia after Joseph Ellicott was forced to resign. Now, it is David Ellicott Evans who's at the center of this, but it really expands throughout the entire area of the Holland Purchase. So I will take you back in time to the 1830s and show you exactly how this all developed. So we're going to start in 1833. This year, the state lawmakers in Albany passed a law which put a tax on debts owed to foreign entities. The Holland Land Company was one of those entities. So in order to avoid this new tax, they stepped up their collection policies. And obviously this angered a lot of the settlers and tenants that had purchased land from the Holland Land Company because, well, they didn't have the money necessarily to begin with to pay off their loans, and then you're adding another tax on top of that and speeding up the process. So this caused outrage across the entire area and led to some violent events. The first happening in late 1836 when the Holland Land Company office of Chautauqua County, which was located in Mayville, was actually attacked by angry farmers and burnt to the ground, destroying most of the records, though a stone vault survived, and actually that vault you can still see in Mayville down near the county building there. However, the outrage did not stop there. A large group of tenants actually formed a convention in Buffalo in early 1837 to put together a process in order to fight back against the collection policies of the Holland Land Company and this sped up collection policy. About 150 gentlemen got together and basically resolved to fight this collection wherever they could and basically force the land company's hand. The spark that lit this off actually happened in Varysburg, down in what is today Wyoming County, when a property owned by a Mr. Locke was taken back because he couldn't pay his debt, and was eventually resold to a Mr. Patterson. However, a lot of other farmers rallied to Mr. Locke's side to take back his land and actually took it back by force, burning down Mr. Patterson's buildings and forcing him off the land. Mr. Patterson then trekked all the way to Batavia to come to David Ellicott Evans to relay his information and tell him what had happened. This put Evans into a sort of panic, but also showed what was going to happen and what they would have to deal with. Now eventually this animosity came right to the Batavia office doorstep. They were given word a few weeks later that over 150 armed men were coming through Alexander on their way to the land office to do exactly what they had done down in Mayville. So Ellicott Evans rallied whatever resources he could and gathered as many arms as he could to defend the land office building. He had about 50 men with him, all armed to the teeth, and they basically put this building into lockdown, trying to be prepared for whatever may come. At midnight, May 13th, they received a knock on the door and they thought this is it. However, it was another individual saying, they're coming through, they're coming through. However, no force ever arrived. However, they did not have to wait long, as the angry group of farmers actually showed up the next day ready to enact their revenge. However, they were met by another stronger force under General Verplanck, who had some armed men with him, and ordered them to disperse. They did not disperse, but instead tried to have a parley with both General Verplanck and David Ellicott Evans. David Ellicott Evans refused to deal with them, and this caused them to stay. However, the sheriff showed up with another large group of about 150 armed men, and this forced them to disperse as they realized it really wasn't worth their time to attack a heavily armed building with two larger forces by their side. So the Holland Land Office was actually under siege for a period of hours without a shot being fired. However, this was sort of the beginning of the end for the Holland Land Company, as after this point they were not trusted again by their tenants, by the people that had bought land from them, and this had caused such animosity towards them that within half a decade or up to a decade they had sold off all their assets and were actually completely gone from Western New York. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit of local history dealing with the Holland Land Company, and I hope you check out our previous videos and look forward to our future videos.